Namaskar and welcome to this exciting new episode of Sattology Debunking Mythology. Yoga, meditation, and the Indian or Vedic spirituality is the new fashion for many Western origin people because they're discovering there's a lot to discover, a lot to learn, a lot to know, and it gives them a unique sense of personal accomplishment which you do not get in any other places, and most of you who are watching it live can agree with me. So here today we are going to go a little bit deeper into one aspect. Last time we spoke on meditation, and also we spoke on the historicity, many aspects we spoke. Uh, Today we're going to touch on dhyan, and dhyan means concentration,
Gyan.
manan, chintan, and also when you add yoga to it, it becomes very directed towards one supreme person. So without delay, so we have very famous guest who has taught yoga to Kate Winslet and many other people. His mother is known as Yoga Mata in India. Very prominent uh, Democrat presidents had visited their home and learned. So without delay, let us welcome Sri Atul Vyas. Namaskar, Atulji.
Very good morning. Namaskar.
Very good morning. So, Atulji, this were just correcting me on dhyana. So, so, so I just said dhyan yog. So, what is the correct pronunciation? So, I want to hear from you, please.
Well, Dhyana or Gyan Yoga we were talking about.
Gyan yoga, yes, Gyan yoga.
Yes. Gyan
So,
Yoga, yes.
yes, go ahead. Yeah.
Gyan means in English knowledge,
Uh huh.
and Yoga means that knowledge which let you join with the supreme uh, soul or Atma, Paramatma is called Jnana Yoga. So any there are two types of knowledge, para and apara vidya. Apara means local, I mean, this worldly knowledge, and para means knowledge which is about this and takes you to your for your spiritual evolution. So, Gyan Yoga is all about that knowledge which let you join and accomplish the purpose for which you are born and meet the Lord and free yourself from the bondage of death, life and death. Aditya ji.
No, very well put it. And since I earlier mispronounced on the dhyan also, so we will cover dhyan also. So what is dhyan yoga according to you also? You are very knowledgeable, so you can speak on this topic as well.
there is no question of knowledgeable, but yeah, this is my serious and sincere interest in life. So dhyan means, you know, dhyan means to think about, basically, to think about, to whenever we are talking about अरे किस ध्यान में खोए हो when we talk in Hindi, where you are lost, in what thoughts you are lost. So dhyan means thoughts, remembering, it's memories. So dhyan yoga means remembering God or those things which will take you near, which will help you to join the Lord and become one with that thyself, or realize your own self. Remembering or focusing on God and His attributes and the path shown by the gurus is Dhyana Yoga, which helps you to realize yourself and meet the Lord Himself. Yes.
Many yogis, and I think this is a good channel to for yogis to also learn the core concepts, yoga instructors. And you said in one of the last talks, yoga as a therapy. And for viewers, Atulji, I call him the yoga scientist, and he himself prefers to be called the yoga scientist. So uh, science is experiential, just like yoga. Yoga is experiential. Now, so when we talk about the Gyan Yoga, and most of the people want to become Gyani, and but Gyan comes from Gyanendriya. So can you elaborate that? What are the Gyanendriya or Indriya which helps us collect Gyan?
Well, it's a little very complicated answer, but I will try to simplify it. You know, how we should remember that how the mind was born and how this world is created and what sustains the world, then we will come to the Gyanendriyas. So, according to yogic philosophy, the origin of the world was by the prana. Supreme prana is Lord Himself, and other subsidiary individual pranas are jivatmas. When jivatma combined with individual ego is called jivatma, otherwise we are paramatma. So when this body is given to an individual or we are born, when from the formless we achieve a body, this is again a miracle. Then we get all the kind of senses, and there the gives prana gives birth to the mind, and mind gives makes these senses which we call indriya alive and active. And when the breath or the prana are in a playful mood, they are not steady, they are not stable. And when the prana are playful, the mind goes outward, and mind goes outward through the senses and hops on one object to another and gathers information and feels pleasure in it. And that is how the indriyas work. But to get the para knowledge, or to gain the real knowledge, we call it jnana yoga. We need to move the senses inward, not outward, and this is called a Gyanendriya. They work externally as well as internally as well. So we have to internalize them if we have to gain the real knowledge, Paravidya, and we call Jnana Yoga.
So
Aditi ji?
you in the beginning you said para apara.
Yes.
So what is the essential difference between the two?
In Apra, you call if we include Lokik Vidya, materialistic knowledge like Ayurveda, medical science, history, political science, which makes us work in this materialistic world, which is gained through the knowledge about the matter and materialism. And Para means which is supernatural, which goes beyond mind, as I told you, which goes beyond intellect, deductive intellect, if I say, and in which illuminative and intuitive intelligence is involved.
So in the you spoke about intuitive intelligence, cognitive intelligence. Now these are the basic divisions that the modern, I call it explanators, people who give commentaries have made that. From the scriptures perspective, the basic purpose of intelligence, buddhi, is to discriminate. Yes, no, right, wrong. And if there is no sense of discrimination, people say he's not an intelligent man. Very common example. So when it comes to Gyan Yoga, nowadays, what is to be accepted and what is to be rejected. Tajeti, and accept what is to be accepted. So what is the type of Gyan which is accepted, favorable to yoga, and what is not favorable to yoga?
Well, when we talk of Jnana Yoga, that means that knowledge which makes you realize your own self or God. That knowledge. And what is that knowledge? That knowledge is when we are born. What is, let's uh, talk about avidya and vidya, or ignorance and knowledge. First of all, the knowledge and ignorance, if I talk from the spiritual perspective, from yogic perspective, uh, when I talk from the yogic perspective, ignorance is to to believe that you are the body is ignorance as per yogic and spiritual perspective. And to know that you are different from the body, you are the indestructible, uh, never to be born and never to die, that soul, super soul or prana, formless, is real jnana. And this, how to believe and how to, uh, you know, uh, to believe in it, is Gyan Yoga is all about. That is, to intellectualize this basic tenet is Jnana Yoga, is basically. And in Jnana Yoga, Lord Krishna has explained in very detail that why and how you are not the body, and why you and how you should realize yourself through the techniques, different techniques, to get the knowledge of real self and become that real self. Aditi ji.
So there is a very important. So the origin of yoga, and I think yoga is a very old word. 5,000 years back, Krishna used it extensively in Bhagavad Gita. But he also mentions that he spoke that to Surya in the beginning of the creation. Now, so yoga is very, very ancient word. You'll find in Ramayana, you'll find in Mahabharata, you'll find texts who were written before that as well, and very ancient word. And so the word yoga predates humanity by many, many, many thousands of years, and today it is
True,
very,
true.
very popular because we have so many yoga instructors watching us live right now. Now, the American fashion is, sorry to use that, some viewers don't like it. American fashion is to use these complex words just to make themselves different from the others. So somebody will say Gyan, and he'll say, I'm different. We're teaching only Gyan yoga. Somebody will say, I'm only teaching Dhyan yoga, not teaching anything else. Somebody will say Hatha yoga. I'm a Hatha yoga expert, because the American psyche is specialization. So, but if you are a comprehensive practitioner of yoga, then you're going to see the entire yoga as one. So, and there can be many divisions, like you teach and you explain also your students. So, is that right? Or do you think that yoga therapy includes everything else, like you said in last talk?
I stand by that still even today, because I will take the example of medical science. When there were generalists, like there were no specialists in the medical science, general physician was they were the mortality rate was very low, and people were getting cured very quickly. And as and on the specialization is increasing or has increased, the cost of treatment has gone up, and the collateral damage to the general public has also gone up to a great extent, because this body is holistic. You can't divide in parts. Hand is different, hand surgeon, or then heart surgeon, then uh, urology surgeon, urologist, and so on and so forth. So you can divide the entire body. It is one. It is just like there are 5 ponds and they are interconnected. So you throw a stone in one pond, then 5 ponds are disturbed. Or if you do anything in one pond, the other four will be affected by it. So this is like body. Similarly, in yoga, There cannot be a compartmentalization. To be honest, if I talk about Jnana Yoga, and even when I was taught yoga by my late world famous mother, I was taught all the aspects of a yoga when I was doing yoga. It included meditation, included concentration, it included yama, niyama, it included pranayama, and it included dharana, even dhyan, except samadhi. So that is real yoga. Then you get the real effect of the yoga. Just for an example, when you do jap yoga and move a beads like this mechanically, does it help? No, it doesn't. Unless and until you move your mind, your so being, and you involve yourself, your breath is involved. Like Ajapa yoga is the most effective form of jap yoga. So it doesn't give you any benefit. So mechanical form of yoga and compartmentalization of yoga, I don't know. I mean, in my opinion, should not work. And I mean, it's just you get if you are getting any benefit, it's just tip of the iceberg, Aditi ji.
No, very nicely put it, because yoga is one, just like you said, and you gave a great example of comparing it to medical science. A doctor is a doctor is a doctor. And nowadays people are confused which doctor to go. And the ICD-10 codes have really made everything complex. ICD codes. Now, coming back to yoga, and there is a, see, the Americans, and I live in this country, and they are very good natural salesmen. And they know that the money, if you have to sustain a yoga studio, the money is in differentiation. If one studio, there are studios in every single block, so every second shopping mall you'll find a yoga studio, and unless they differentiate, and they cannot proceed. Now, so coming back to the topic of Gyan Yoga. Now, Gyan Yoga is something which they call themselves Gyani and Gyan Yoga followers, but they do not understand the Gyan part of it. For them, Gyan is uh, the status of economy, the status of political systems in the world, and retail, whatever the knowledge of the retail things, retail industry is there. So, will that be considered as part of the Gyan Yoga, or we are talking completely different here?
It is completely different. I mean, as I said, this this knowledge, what you are talking about, is tinsel. It is nonsense. It is it is just till you die. But that knowledge which makes you ageless, which makes you eternal. There is a very fine Upanishadic prayer, we call it yogic prayer, which says, take me from unreal to the real, take me from darkness to light, and take me from death to immortality. That is the real jnana, that is the real knowledge. Oh Lord, give me that knowledge. Yoga is, it is being said, Nasti yoga samam balam. There is no power like yoga. This Lord Krishna has said himself. And why we have declined, Sanatan Dharma has declined, because we have forgotten the power of yoga, to be honest, real yoga. And trust me, I give you example. See, there are three top political charismatic leaders born in India. Three. Only three political, but they are very charismatic, very popular, extraordinary. They were Jawaharlal Nehru, the first Prime Minister, Srimati Indira Gandhi, the second Prime Minister, second popular Prime Minister, and third, Narendra Modi, the present Prime Minister. What is common between them? They all did yoga and doing yoga. Jawaharlal Nehru, my mother shared her knowledge with Jawaharlal Nehru. My mother used to do yoga with Indira Gandhi. Jawaharlal Nehru used to do Shirshasana with my mother, competition. Who does it for long. So yoga adds to your charisma. So yoga adds to your aura. So this is a fact of life one should understand. And when we are talking about jnana yoga, we are talking about yoga which makes you takes you towards God and which takes you away from the unreal world. Thank you, Aditi ji.
No, very nicely put and very short answer, but you gave three prominent leaders of India. Now, when it compares to the Western world, the leadership of the Western world doesn't accept yoga because of the influence of church and other Abrahamic places of worship. They do not recognize yoga. But yoga is a word, as I said, is older than any modern political system.
Sorry, I will interrupt here.
Yes.
When you say that US leaders are not accepting yoga, I take exception to it. I will give you an example. When Bill Clinton came to India as president and learned yoga from my mother, he gave a handmade crystal box with a presidential seal on it. And after going back to US, he set up a White House commission on yoga and wrote to my mother that I have set up a White House commission on yoga to equate yoga with the medical science and acupuncture, which is also equated with the medical science. And I'm eagerly looking forward to the findings of this commission. So I will not agree with you that American leaders are not interested in yoga. I'm giving you a concrete example.
Glad that you corrected me over there. But general impression, like general talk is that the leadership, I'm talking about current leadership, doesn't acknowledge yoga as a major contributor to American health. And 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 we have seen that in 17 to 18 states in the United States have banned yoga in their state legislatures as well as in their universities. 17 to 18 states have banned it. So, but yoga is extremely popular with the Americans. We can say at any given point of time, as we are speaking also, at least 50 to 60 million Americans will be doing yoga in their houses right now or in some studios if they're open. Uh, but as from the state policy, and I'll have to really search on the that commission of yoga if I can really do something on it. I'm going to do that my own research and see what I can do there. But the yoga as a philosophy has been branded religious and away from dharmic. Dharma and religion are not the same things, and that's where the major most of the people who are connected to those religious systems, they have a problem at the leadership level to publicly acknowledge. They might be doing in their homes. No, I can totally agree with you. In their homes, they might be doing yoga for sure, but in a public stance, they do not accept it, and that's a major problem for most of the
Well,
yogis.
I have got your question. I will answer it. Whether they accept it or not, does it matter? The question is I mean, yoga is more than 12,000 years old and it is being, still it is sustained and is progressing and it's spreading out like a wildfire is a sure proof of its, scientific footings and nothing to do with the religion. Yoga, the basic tenet of yoga is it has nothing to do with any religion of any form. The basic tenet of yoga is how to steady the mind, how to by steadying the prana, and when the mind is steadied, it is Brahma. When the mind is eliminated, it becomes Brahma. You are the God. That is the simple philosophy of yoga. And I don't understand where does the religion come in between. Number one. Number two, the latest scientific research have astonished the world. I will give you one small example. Since you said there is a neurological doctor is there right now. Earlier, yogic people were convinced, have been saying from the um 12,000 years ago, that the brain changes. The brain is plastic, and the medical science discarded this concept. When Dalai Lama in 98 spoke in US to the 400 doctors, and he said that the brain, even two neurons or five neurons and 10 neurons can take over the function of the brain, and brain can change its shape. They all laughed at him. They did not believe. They said brain is static, and neurons, if they die, they don't regenerate. Brain cannot be regenerated. This is all against the science. And today, the latest research says the concept of neuroplasticity is the most in thing in the neurology at the moment. Neuroplasticity is that brain can regenerate itself, and they have shown by the experiment, and doctors have showed by the experiment, that brain changes shape and changes your fortune, and it can make people, cure them. And for example, conscious movement, I repeat, conscious movement can prevent us Parkinson's disease. And there are authentic examples I can quote and give you. One in South Africa, there is a man. He has been diagnosed Parkinson, but he is not suffering from any symptoms. He is using the concept of conscious movement as we use in yoga. So, whether these leaders are believing or not, but they cannot stop medical science. And the so many researchers I can quote, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. The vagus nerve thing. I mean, hundreds. And all American universities have done these researches. So these leaders, it's a matter of time. If science accepts this, if humanity has accepted it, if medical science has accepted it, it's a matter of time.
The effect, so anyone who goes to a yoga or performs yoga can never deny it. This is because this is a science and it's experience. You can experience it. But for people who are, it's just like judging the taste of honey or sweetness of honey by looking at the bottle. So if you keep looking at the bottle, now you can always say that I don't like brown color, I don't like golden complexion of the honey, I don't like the light honey. But when you taste it, you automatically know that it is a sweet product. And so yoga is also like that, because unless you experience it, you will not be able to comment on it. Or unless you are a totally uh, fraud, where you taste it, experience it, but still want to continue on your dogmatic viewpoint. Now
In
coming back,
sorry, in the present context, in the present era, yug we call it Kal Yug. Yoga is the only remedy to these all upheavals happening around the globe. No political leader in the world can contain these things. All these pandemic, wars, calamities, natural calamities. No, nothing can control it. I again tell you, because this is Kali Yuga. Now I come to the concept of yugas. You know, Sat Yuga. We have got four yugas as per yogi concept. First is Sat Yuga. Sat Yuga is like a table which has got four legs. It is very stable, calm, not moving at all. Then comes Treta Yuga, tripod. When one leg is taken off, the table is still stable. Then there comes Dwapar Yuga, when two legs are taken off, and this entire universe is standing on two legs. So it is, moving here and there and there and there. There is a disability. The stability is lacking. And now the Kali Yuga, where legs have been taken on. It The entire universe is standing on one leg. Therefore, all these upheavals, an answer to this upheaval and pandemic is only yoga. Calm and stabilize your mind, and nothing can affect you. And this is the only remedy available to the humanity at the moment. And trust me, you can try yourself and see the difference. You can become the master of universe at the moment with through yoga. And yoga is a science, systematic science, which you do it and you get the results. So uh, in the present moment, only yoga is the answer to the all the ills to the which is happening to the humanity at large.
Very rightly said. Now, many of the yoga instructors, they have questions like, is there a process to get certified in a proper yoga therapist way? And I think I can tell all the viewers that myself and Atul Vyas ji will come up with something, is very simple process. We had a plan for 2021, and we'll announce it shortly. Now, coming back to last question from the Dhyan yoga perspective, because uh, what is the object of meditation there? What is the object of Dhyan?
Well, if I put it in Hindi, the basic, it will explain everything. तू सदा स्वयं प्रकाश है. You are already an illuminating self. तू किसका ध्यान धरे, whom you are meditating upon, what you are meditating. You are self illuminated. You are the self. You are the boss. You are the person. You are the God Him yourself. So whom you are meditating upon. So, and secondly, unless and until you have santoshadhan, or say your satisfaction is high, if you are not, if you are desireless, then only the meditation becomes effective. If you are full of desires, any meditation, dhyana, or yoga will not be very effective. So, to become desireless, you have to steady fast the mind. To steady fast the mind, you have to steady fast the breath. And by steadifying the breath, you can stabilize the prana. And by stabilizing the prana, you can be your own self and realize yourself. There is no need to for meditating on this and that, and you know, Aditi ji.
So thank you very much. And there's one shloka in Bhagavad Gita is also there, that natva eva ham jatu nasa natam neva janadipa naja bhavishyama. So he says, like, I did not quote the full one, but there was never a time where I did not exist, Krishna says. There was never a time where you did not exist, Krishna says. And there will never be a time in future where we will not exist separately, independently. So the entire concept of through dhyan or something that you can become God, that is not mentioned in Bhagavad Gita as such. So,
I
and
will tell you. I will tell you. I will tell
that
you.
is the
I will tell you.
biggest that is the
Think.
biggest
I will tell you.
problem with the people from Abrahamic faith, because they have always been taught that you can be godly but not God.
I will explain you what is God. There is suppose there is a tree. You see a tree, beautiful tree, brown. The brown is the stem, and green are the leaves and beautiful branches. Now you cut that tree, and there is the stem becomes a wood, beautiful, dry wood, and then you burn that wood. What do you get? Ash. Now, what is common between these three stages? What is common between these three stages, sir? Now I tell you the answer. The most common factor is existence. The existence is common between them, and this existence of that self is God, is you, is Atma. The existence is Atma, soul, and the existence is God. And if you realize you exist, which is, if you realize you are not the body and focus on your existence, that is Atma, is yoga. And this is the sense of the spirituality and Jnana yoga. Aditi ji.
So, thank you very much for today, your time, Atulji. And it's always a pleasure to talk to you. We'll come up with some other interesting topic based on similar series that we're doing on yoga. And for viewers who are watching it live, do go to YouTube and comment and ask questions. And I thank you for the last video. You made it very popular, and it's still on there. So you can use it as a reference if you want to use it. And thank you all very much for joining. Namaskar.
Thank you very much and have a great day and great life ahead. Thank you very much, Aditi.